Thank you so much for joining this lesson. We're going to discuss the color joint examination mock. This is the exam which was done in May by the Kenya High, Alliance High, Lenana School, and Alliance Girls as a pre-mock in March 2025, Mathematics Paper 2, Alternative A. So let's look at the paper in section 1 in details. Number 1, simplify, leaving your answer in the form A plus B, the root of C. So what are we simplifying? The sine of 30 degrees minus the cosine of 30 all over tan 45 degrees plus tan 60 degrees. So what we're going to do here is to express these trigonometric ratios of spatial angles in third form. The sine of 30 is usually a half minus the cosine of 30, which is the root of 3 out of 2, then divided by tan 45 is usually 1, then plus the tan of 60, which is root 3, that way. So this is now the expression in third form, and we're going to simplify it. To simplify a third simply means rationalizing the denominator. And how do we rationalize the denominator? We write 1 plus the root of 3. This is the third. Then we multiply it by its conjugate. So the conjugate of this denominator now shall be 1 minus the root of 3. So that is a third and its conjugate. So the same conjugate should multiply the numerator also. These are half minus the root of 3 over 2 into 1 minus root 3. So the conjugate multiplies both numerator and denominator. Let's expand the numerator, whereby half multiplies 1 minus root 3. Then negative the root of 3 over 2 also multiplies everything in the denominator. Then all these now should be divided by the simplified form of the denominator. Whenever you are multiplying a third and its conjugate, this one you can treat it as a following the quadratic identities, a difference of two squares, whereby we say x minus y multiplied by x plus y. This is called a difference of two squares, becomes x squared minus y squared. So applying this quadratic identity, we can now expand the numerator, whereby it becomes 1 squared, which is 1, minus root 3 squared, making it 3. Root 3 squared becomes 3. You see? So now we can expand completely now. We can open the brackets on the numerator. Half times 1, which is half, then minus root 3. This one should be divided by 2 because we are multiplying it by half. Then negative 2/3 by 1, negative root 3 over 2 that way. Then minus root 3 over 2 multiplies by negative 3. That makes it a plus. So what are we adding at this point? We are adding root 3 over 2 by root 3. So root 3 times root 3, that becomes root 9. Remember, root 9 is a rational number because root 9 can be solved to become 3 that way. Then everything here now is being divided by the negative 2. Yeah. So now we can group terms together. Half plus 3 over 2. You know, 3 over 2 is 1.5. So that becomes 2, right? Yeah. That becomes 2. 1.5 plus half. The negative 2/3, negative root 3 over 2, minus again root 3 over 2. That becomes negative 2 root 3 over 2 when you add them. Everything here is out of negative 2. So we can now simplify here and say this is 2. Then this becomes negative root of 3, everything over negative 2. But now there is the format we should leave the answer at, such that this will be negative 1 when you divide everything by negative 2. Then minus the root of 3 over 2. So with this now, we have done the equation in the right format, the expression that is -1 minus half the root of 3. Yeah, minus half the root of 3. That way. So that's how number 1 should be simplified completely. Number 2, a question on errors and approximations. The base and height of a triangle were measured as 12.8 centimeters and 7.5 centimeters, respectively. Calculate, correct to 4 significant figures, the percentage error in the area of the triangle. So in errors, the first thing that you're supposed to identify is the accuracy in the recording of the measurements. These measurements have been recorded, both of them, both the base and the height have been recorded to, have been recorded to 1 decimal place. Therefore, what is the accuracy? 0.1. If the accuracy is 0.1, then it means we can get absolute error. Absolute error in the recording of the dimensions. It will be the accuracy over 2, which is 0.05 centimeters. So with that absolute error now, we can get the limits within which the dimensions lie. So if it's 12.8, this one lies between, we can either subtract or add to get both the lower and the upper limits respectively. So it shall lie between 12.75 and 12.85. Then there is another dimension here, which is 7.5, recorded under the same accuracy, which means absolute error is 0.05. So we subtract 0.05 for us to get the lower limit of 7.45. And to get the upper limit, we add. So 7.55. Therefore, now we are having the limits within which the 2 dimensions have been recorded. So we add and subtract the absolute error in the recording of the dimensions for us to get the limits within which the dimensions have been recorded. Now, we're calculating the percentage error, and we have to begin with maximum area, minimum area, then the working area. So let's get area maximum. Area maximum will be given by the upper limits multiplied. So 12.85 multiplied by 7.55, that will give us the maximum area, 12.85 and 7.55. This one shall be 97.0175 square centimeters. Then we can get area minimum. Area minimum is going to be when we multiply the lower limits for both dimensions. And this shall give us 12.75 multiplied by 7.45. This is giving us 94 point. Yeah. This is giving us. And remember, sorry, it's good for you to remember that we are dealing with a triangle. Therefore, the area is usually given by half base times height. So not base times height. So we should introduce the half at this point. Yeah. Should introduce the half there. Therefore, the exact value now for these answers shall be, the second one is 47.49375 square centimeters. Then the first one, which is the maximum, when we take 97.0175 divided by 2, we'll be getting 48.50875 that way. So we are having the 2 dimensions, both maximum and minimum areas. After this, we can talk about absolute error in the calculation the areas now. Remember, there was absolute error in recording of dimensions. Now we are talking about absolute error in the computation of the areas, whereby we say absolute error shall be maximum minus minimum over 2. So 48.50875 minus 47.49375. Then everything should be divided by 2. So let's work out this one. We subtract 47.49375. Then we divide by 2. This shall be 0.5075. This is called absolute error. After the working of the absolute error, we proceed to what we call relative error, which is given by absolute error out of the working area. So working area, which is also called the actual area, will be half multiplied by the base as it was recorded, then multiplied by the height as it was captured that way. This is what we call relative error. Then now we proceed to percentage error, which is given by relative error times 100. So the relative error divided by exactly 48, then multiplied by 100. This shall be 1.057. Remember, it is to 4 significant figures. So you should adhere to the instructions fully. So that is it. That's how we get a percentage error. Good. Number 3 now. Make K the subject of the formula and simplify. So we can see a square root sign somewhere. So we can square everything. When we square everything, t will become squared equals to 2y plus 4. This one also has to be squared. Then we divide by. Now, after squaring everything, the square root sign disappeared from the denominator. 2ky plus k. Remember, we are making k the subject. Yeah, we are making k the subject. So to make k the subject, we can multiply both sides by this denominator here, such that we have t squared multiplied by 2ky plus k equals to 2y plus 4. This one has been squared that way. And remember, what we need here now is k. Yeah, what we need is k. So we can factor out k. We can factor out k so that you have k t squared into 2y plus 1. 2y plus 1 that way. This is equal to 2y plus 4, everything squared. How do we remain with k? We divide through by the coefficient of k. So 2y plus 4, this one is being squared, and everything divided by t squared into 2y plus 1. The reason why I'm not expanding t squared into 2y plus 1, and also the numerator, which is a 2y plus k, 2y plus 4 squared. The reason I'm not expanding them is because we are supposed to leave the answer simplified. When you expand, you'll still be correct. But do we need it expanded? No, we need it simplified. So this one is now the most simplified answer. In case you start expanding by squaring the numerator, you will become wrong because you are expanding. Rather, you should simplify. The numerator, in case you open the brackets by multiplying everything by t squared, you will be becoming wrong because you will not be simplifying. You'll be expanding, the opposite of the demand according to the question. So it's good you read questions carefully. Very good for you to read questions carefully. At number 4 now, remember to subscribe. Remember to share so that you may invite a friend to the broadcast. Remember our consultation line 0704153366. So now we can read number 4 together. A buyer pays for a car on hire purchase in 15 equal monthly installments. The cash price was 300,000 Kenya shillings and the interest rate was 15% per annum. A deposit of 75,000 Kenya shillings was paid. Calculate her monthly repayments to the nearest shilling. So this is what shall happen. We are already having the deposit that was made. So what is the balance? What is the balance? Now the balance is the one that will earn some interest. Such interest is called the carrying charge. So let's get the balance first. After the down payment, or rather the deposit of 75,000, what are we getting as the balance? So the balance is 225,000 Kenya shillings. 225,000 Kenya shillings. This is the balance that that this buyer would have paid. But instead of paying this, there will be some interest on this amount. And the interest per annum is exactly 15% per annum. And it's going to happen for 15 equal installments. 15 equal installments. So how many months are here? 15 months. So how many years are within 15 months? We're going to get 1 year as 12 months. So that is 1 year. And how many months are remaining there after 12? 3. So 3 over 12 is a quarter. So we'll have 1.25 years. 1.25 years. So assuming that this interest, because we are told interest rate, interest rate was 15% per annum. So we can assume it was a simple interest, whereby we will say that interest and shall be 225, which is the balance, for 1 year at a rate of 15%. What are we going to get? So this shall be an interest of 33,750. 33,750. Then we shall also have another interest at the same rate of 15% for a quarter a year. Yeah, for a quarter a year. Multiply by 15% times a quarter a year. So 225,000 multiplied by 15% multiplied by 1 out of 4. This gives us exactly 84. That's 7.50 cents. So total interest or total installments paid. Total installments. Instead of paying this balance, this buyer ended up paying this amount and the interest and 33,750 and also 84,3750. So this is going to be 225,000 plus 33,750 plus 84,37.50 cents. This is going to be 267,187.50 Kenya shillings. The total installments. Then now we can get the monthly repayment because this will happen in 15 months. So per month, what shall it be? We divide by 15 months. So when we divide by 15 months, we will be having 17,812.50 Kenya shillings. So that is going to be the monthly installment now, because total installments has already been calculated, but they will be paid within 15 equal monthly installments. So we divide by 15, we get the amount in each installment. So that's how we're supposed to work it out. We're supposed to understand that whenever you are dealing with hire purchase, there is always an interest charge, always interest charged on the balance. So interest is charged on the balance. That is what you're supposed to know. And balance is the balance after the down payment has been made. So once the deposit is made, the balance that remains is the one that earns some interest with time. Yeah, some interest with time. That is it. At number 5 now, we thought that 5 men working for 8 hours a day take 2 days to cultivate an acre of land. How many days would 4 men working 10 hours a day at a double rate take to cultivate 3 acres of land? There are 2 things to be very careful with at this point. Double rate, working at double rate. That means, actually, let me approach the question in 2 different ways and we will see whether we will arrive at the same answer. One, we can have the number of men written here, then the hours they are working a day, then we have the days taken. 5 men, 8 hours a day, take 2 days. How many days would 4 men working 10 hours a day take to work 3 acres? To cultivate an acre of land, okay? An acre of land. So how many days will they take to cultivate an acre? How many days will they take to cultivate an acre? So 2 should be multiplied by, if people, when working for, we compare hours and days. When people are working for 8 hours, they need 2 days. What about when they start working 10 hours a day? Will they take more days or fewer days? Of course, fewer days, because now they are taking longer in the working. So a decreasing ratio of the hours, 8/10 multiplied by, now we compare men and the days. 5 men take 2 days. What about 4 men? They would take longer. So we need 5/4. Yeah, they will take longer. 5/4. So how many men? Okay, how long will these 4 men take? How long will these 4 men take working 10 hours to do an acre of land? So 2 multiplied by 8 multiplied by 5, then we divide everything by 40. This becomes 2. So these guys need 2 days to work 1 acre of land. So if they need 2 days for an acre of land, what about 3 acres of land? So for 3 acres of land, they will need each acre 2 days, 6 days. But now we are being told that they are working at a double rate. So working at a double rate, instead of taking the 6 days, now they are going to take half this time. Because they are working at a double rate, they shall divide this time by 2. They shall divide this time by 2. Yeah. 3 days at the end of it, we will have 3 days that way. Alternatively, 5 men working. So we have again 5 men, hours, and days. 5 men working 8 hours take 2 days. How many days would 4 men working at a double rate? So 4 men working at a double rate, they will be equivalent to 8 men. Yeah, 4 men working at a double rate. So I'm interpreting the double rate. Yes, if now we are bringing 4 men, but their working rate is double, then it means they are equivalent to 8 men. Yeah. Working 10 hours a day. Take to do an acre. So 2 will be multiplied by 8/10, then multiplied by 5 men are taking 2 days. What about 8 men? They will take a shorter time, of course. So 5/8. So how long are they taking to do an acre? So 2/40/80. They are taking 1 day. They will take 1 day to do 1 acre. 1 day to do 1 acre. So for 3 acres now, each day working 1 acre. So they are working 1 acre per day and they need 3 acres. So each acre takes a day. So we need 3 days of work. 3 days of work. That's simple. So we can work out the question in a variety of ways. Now at number 6, a very good question here. We can look at it together. In the figure below, PQ and QR are codes. They are codes of a circle, center O. Codes means these 2 lines are touching the circle at some point. If PQ equals to 4, just as you can see, and QR equals to 9, then OR, which is now the radius, equals to 5. Calculate the angle PQR. Now look at it this way. We are already having a radius, so this is also radius 5. OP is also 5. Then from O to Q, it's also to the circumference, so that is also 5. So we have 2 isosceles triangles here. And remember, the angle to be found is the angle at PQR. PQR means the whole of this angle. So OQR plus OQP. Yeah. OQR plus the OQP. Let me extract the triangles now. I'll begin with the first triangle. Which is triangle ORQ. This is having a 9 here and 5s at this point. Remember, these are equal sides. So when we bisect here, we will be having 4.5 and 4.5, meaning that the angle at this point, which I can call theta, can be found using trigonometric ratios. Allow me to apply a simple trigonometric ratio like the cos. So the cosine of theta will be equivalent to adjacent out of hypotenuse. And this means that if I'm to get the theta now, then I need the cos inverse of 4.5 out of 5. What will this give us? Shift cos 4.5 out of 5, giving us 25.84. 0.84 degrees. What about when I go for the other angle now, which is going to be OQP? Yeah, OQP. So OQP, such that these are 5s again. 5, then we have a 4 here. Such that when I split these, I shall be having 2 and 2. So we can get the angle at Q, which is alpha for this case. So the cosine of alpha will be given by adjacent out of hypotenuse, meaning that for me to get alpha, I need the cos inverse of 2/5. This shall be shift cos 2 over 5. And this gives me 66.42 degrees. So the whole angle PQR shall be 25.84 plus 66.42. So when I add the two, I'll be getting exactly 92.26 degrees. 92.26 degrees. So that's how we get the angle. Very simple. A student must be really reasoning for them to come up with such an angle. Yeah, remember to subscribe, guys. Remember to share. Remember to invite a friend to our live broadcast. If you are a teacher and you are following us, please refer your learners to this program. We know that at number 7, find the absolute value of y in the equation. Very serious. Absolute value. That means in case you get two values of y, you are supposed to take the one which is positive, or rather when you get a positive value, a negative value, you're supposed to just take the absolute value. For example, if you get y equals to -5, you should tell us that the value of y is just 5. That's what it means by absolute value. We know the sign and we take the value. All right. So now we start working on it. It's good for you to remember that the logarithm of a base b is the same as the log of a over the log of b. Those are laws of logarithms. Again, with a constant like a, we're also supposed to understand that the logarithm of a number to the same base equals to 1. So instead of having one start point, we can introduce the logarithm of a number to the same base. So what is the base used in this equation? Base y. The base is y now because you can see log to base y here. So instead of 1, you can write log of y to base y plus the log to base y of y plus 1. This is equivalent to the log of 6 to base y. So I've applied, for this point, I've applied this law that way. So this way now, we can finish up very quickly by applying the multiplication law on the left-hand side, whereby we take the log to base y of y multiplied by y plus 1 that way. So I can introduce the curly brackets here because there are other small brackets. The log to base y of 6. So at this point now we can talk of log of y. Then this will be y squared plus y equals to the log 6. Because the base is the same, we can now drop logarithms and we quit the left and the right sides. So y squared plus y squared equals to 6. And this means we can now solve for the value of y. This is now quadratic. Yeah, this is quadratic. So we can get y squared plus y minus 6 equals to 0, and we solve using the factorization method. I know the methods are several, but you can use factorization. So we need a product of a times c in this equation, which gives us -6, and a sum which is equals to b, that is 1. So when we are working with 3 and -2, you discover that the product of 3 and -2 is -6. The sum is 1. So with that, now we can talk about y squared. Instead of y, we substitute it with 3y and -2y. That is the equivalent of y. Then minus 6 equivalent to 0. Y into y plus 3 then negative 2 into y plus 3 equals to 0. So from the brackets, y plus 3, outside the brackets, y minus 2 equals to 0. With this, we can talk about y plus 3 equals to 0, or y minus 2 equals to 0. Y equals to a negative 3, or y equals to positive 2. So we needed the absolute value, 2, or y equals to negative 3. We just make it a 3. So that is what we call, these are the values of y according to the equation. Values of y according to the equation that you've solved. But now we just need the absolute values of y. So the absolute values of y, okay, the absolute value of y means that y can either be 2, or with negative 3, we take the absolute value, which is 3, that way. Number 8 on binomial expansions. Given that the coefficient of x power 3 in the expansion of a plus x out of 2 raised to power 4 is 1, find the value of a. So what you need to know is that x power 3 will be at the fourth term when expanding to power 4. So what are the binomial coefficients of power 4? They're going to be, these ones are for 2, 1, 2, and 1. Then for 3, 1, 3, 3, and 1. And for 4, we'll have 1, 4, 6, 4, and 1. Therefore, these are for power 4. So which is the coefficient for power for the fourth term? Coefficient for the fourth term is going to be 4. So now we're going to say that this fourth term shall be 4 into a is to power 1 and x over 2 is to power 3. So this is 4a x power 3 out of 8. You see, in case I simplify these, I'll be having by 4, 1 by 4 half. So half a x power 3 that way. So this is now the fourth term expanded according to this expression. Now we are told that the coefficient of x power 3, which is here, is equivalent to 1. So half a equals to 1. I find the value of a. So to remain with a, I multiply by 2 both sides. So the answer shall be 2. That's simple. The answer shall be 2 that way. Number 9, solve the equation 5 over the sine of x equals to 7 minus 2 cosine squared of x for x ranging between negative 90, yeah, negative 90 and positive 90. So let's check these. Let's check this. We can multiply through by sine x because it is the common denominator. So 5 remains 5 because we are multiplying by the denominator there. 7 sine x minus 2 the cosine squared of x. We have multiplied all the terms by sine x. At this point now, we know that cos squared of an angle plus sine squared of the same acute angle is equivalent to 1. So the cosine squared of theta can be expressed as 1 minus the sine squared of theta that way. And therefore, we need 5 equals to 7, the sine of x, minus 2. Instead of cosine squared of x, now we shall have 1 minus the sine squared of x. At this point now, we can talk about 5 equivalent to sine 7 sin x minus 2 positive 2 sine squared of x that way. So this equation now can be written in what we call a quadratic format because it is of having a squared term. Yeah, it's having a squared term. Actually, we can let the sine of x to be a number like t. So 5 equals to 7t minus 2 plus 2t squared. Yeah, this way. Then 5 and negative 2 can be combined. So we can start this equation with 2t squared plus 7t negative 7. That's negative 7, yeah, equals to 0. Because I'm having 5 taken to where negative 2 is, it shall be negative 5 minus 7 equals to 0 that way. So with this now we can solve it. We can use the quadratic formula. We can also use the completing square method such that we say the value of t shall be negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4a by c, that way. Everything divided by 2 times a. So 2 times a is 2 multiplied by 2 because the value of a is 2 in that equation. So we will get two values. We'll get a y equals to negative 7 plus or minus 10.247. Yeah, then everything over 4. Everything out of 4 that way. So we get the two values of y now is y equals to either 0.8118 or negative 4.311. Since we are dealing with a sign, we can't work with a value which is either 1 or greater than that. So we ignore these and now say if y equals to this, now we will say that the sine of x equals to 0.8118. Yeah, 8118. So which is this value? Which is this value of theta? Remember, we don't have negative angles. Negative in angles is an issue of direction. So when we say negative 90, we mean in the unit circle, an angle of 90 measured in the clockwise direction. So that will take us to 270. Yeah, 270. So we need this angle to be between 90 and 270. Negative 90 is equal to 270, in other words. So can we get an angle theta, which will replace x first? Shift sine 0.8118, 54.27. 27, sorry, 0.27 that way. So with this angle now, we ask ourselves, what are the suitable values of x? This one is smaller than 90, so it is not what we want. So we need this acute angle in the quadrant where signs are positive. Signs are positive in the first, second, yeah, first and second. So we need the angle here. We have the angle theta here. For us to get an equivalent angle of theta in the second quadrant, we need 180 minus theta. So the equivalent angle to 54.27 shall be when we take 180 minus 54.27. So x shall be 125.73. This is the value of the angle that we needed. So that is it. And that is how you are supposed to work it out. At number 10 now. A variable p varies directly as variable q and inversely as the square root of r. Calculate, correct to three significant figures the percentage change in r if q is doubled and p is increased by 36%. So let's first, before we go to the concept of percentage change, we interpret the statement so that we may know how the variables are related. P is directly variable to Q, but inversely to the square root of R. Yeah, inversely to the square root of R. Inversely to the square root of R, that way. So P equals to a constant Q over the root of R. With this now, because we need the percentage change in R, we can make R the subject. To make R the subject, root R by P equals to K Q. How do we remain with root R? K Q out of P. And how? And how shall we remain with R now? By squaring both sides. Yeah, we square both sides such that we have the constant squared, Q squared out of P also squared, that way. Yeah, for us to remain with R, we have to square every side. So that is it. This is the R now we want. So now there are some changes which are being underwent by Q and also by P. So the new Q becomes twice the original Q because you're saying Q is doubled. Then P is increased by 36%. So P, the new P becomes 136% of the original P. This is 1.36P. Yeah, 1.36P that way. What about the new R now? The new R shall be K squared, then the new Q squared. 2Q, we also square out of 1.36P, we also square that way. So with this now we can get the percentage change. Okay, let's get these values first. We have 2 squared, which is 4. We divide it by 1.36 squared. That will be 2.163. 2.163, yeah? This new R. So new R equals to 2.163 K squared Q squared over P squared. So as to get percentage change in R, then we need the new R, 2.163 K squared Q squared divided by P squared minus the original K squared Q squared out of P squared. Then we also divide by the original K squared Q squared over P squared. Then everything now has to be multiplied by 100 for us to get percentage change. The new R minus original R, then over the original, we multiply by 100. So when we factor out K squared Q squared over P squared, it shall cancel out in this manner. K squared Q squared over P squared Then this is 2.163 minus 1 or 1. Then times 100. You know, we are dividing by 1 because we have also factored k squared q squared over p squared. So that now it cancels with the what we are having on the numerator. The percentage change shall be, we subtract 1, then we express as a percentage. This will be 116. And remember, we've been taught to 3 significant figures. So 116.3, but to 3 significant will be 116%. That is the percentage increase in the value of R. Percentage increase. It's an increase actually. This one is an increase. 116% increase. That way. Number 11, very good question. We are told that a regular pentagonal solid has its sides marked 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and another regular one has its sides marked 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Both are tossed, and the sum of the numbers appearing on the bottom page recorded. Part 1. Draw a probability space to show the possible outcomes. So for us to show the possible outcomes, we draw a probability space. So we can have the first one. Remember, it's pentagonal, so it has 5 phases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's right. The other one, the second one, is also having 5 of them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we can now have the values on the faces indicated. From the first one, we are having 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In the second one, we are having 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That way. So when they are tossed, now we can get all possible outcomes. It can be 6 plus 3, which is 9, because we are, after showing up, we are taking the sum. This one is very key. Some other times you'll be told that the difference is calculated. Then 6 plus 4, 10, 11, 12, 13. 7 plus 3, 10. 7 plus 4, 11, 12, 13, 14. That way. 8 plus 11, 8 plus 3, which is 11. 8 plus 4, which is 12, plus 5, 13, 14, 15. That way. 9 plus 3, which is 12, plus 4, 13, plus 5, 14, plus 6, 15, 16. 10 plus 3, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So these are the possible outcomes. We have drawn them in what we call a probability space. Let's look at Roman 2. Find the probability of getting a sum greater or equal to 14. Greater or equal to 14. Sum greater or equal to 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are the values, which are 10 of them greater than or equal to 14. So to be 10 out of 25 possible outcomes. When we simplify this, we'll be having by 5, 2, and by 5, 5. So that is the probability of finding the sum being either 14 or greater than 14. 10 possibilities out of a total of 25 possibilities. 2 over 5 is the answer. That way. Another interesting question in number 12. A soccer ball of diameter 30 centimeters is placed right at a corner of a rectangular room. Find the shortest distance of the ball from the corner of the room. Correct to two significant figures. Let me sketch this information for you. This is the corner of a room. And at this corner, we are placing a soccer ball. So the ball will not touch the corner, of course. Yeah, but it will touch the ground and also some point on the wall that way. So we are told that the diameter of the ball is 30 centimeters. If the diameter is 30, then it means we are having 15 and 15. The radius is 15 that way. So now, which distance do we want to calculate? We want to find the distance from where the ball is to where the wall is. So at that rate now, it means we can talk about from the center of this ball, from the center of the spherical ball to the corner, the exact corner, yeah? So we need now 15 and 15 for us to get from that one, from O to the corner. So we'll talk about 15 squared plus 15 squared. We take the square root. 15 squared plus 15 squared. And we take the square root. This is going to be 21.21. 21.21 centimeters. Then now, for us to know, remember from the center to where the ball is ending here is still 15. So for us to get the distance from the corner to the ball now, it shall be 21.21 and we subtract the 15. So that the distance here, the small distance here from the ball to the corner now becomes, when I subtract 15 here, I'm having 6.21 centimeters. Then now we can talk about two significant figures. Two significant figures. So two significant figures shall be exactly 6.2 centimeters. Yeah, two significant figures. Two significant figures. Two significant figures. Remember, guys, to subscribe. Remember to share with a friend, of course, so that you may invite them to our programs. Shifting Grades is the best online school for your students. The tangent to the circle, x squared plus y squared minus 2x minus 6y minus 5 at 0.34 meet the x-axis at P. Find the coordinates of P. In other words, we find the x-intercept of this tangent, the x-intercept of the tangent. So what we are supposed to understand is that there is a circle here which is having a tangent at coordinate 3, 4. So let's get first the center for this circle. The center for this circle, whereby we need to take x squared according to the equation now minus 2x. So that is the x components. We shall complete the square for x by adding a certain constant there. Then y squared minus 6y. We also add another constant here. Then minus 5. We add the two constants to the right hand side. With this now, we can say that to make a perfect square, the constant is given by the value of b over 2, then this is squared. So C1 shall be negative 2 over 2, and we square, which is 1, because that will be negative 1 squared. Then C2 shall be negative 6 over 2, then we square. So negative 3 squared is a 9. So we are adding 1 and 9 to both sides. Yeah, we are adding 1 and 9 to both sides. 1 and 9 to both sides. So x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus y squared minus 6y plus 9 equals to negative 5 plus 1 plus 9. Now with this, we can find the center. We can find the center, and that center will be found after factorizing the x component here. But we need x minus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals to, this one shall be 10 minus 5, which is 5. Yeah, 10 minus 5, which is 5. With this now, we can say that the center is going to be 1, 3. So coordinate 1, 3 is the center. So look at the circle this way. Center 1, 3. But now having a tangent at 3, 4. So 3, 4 is a point at this point. 3, 4 at that point. So we have a tangent there at coordinate 3, 4. From the center to this tangent, we will have a radius. We'll have a radius there. So can we get equation of the radius? Equation of the radius or gradient of the radius. Let's get gradient of the radius. Grad of radius. This one is going to be, because the radius is passing at 1, 3 and also at 3, 4. So we take 4 minus 3 out of 3 minus 1. This is 1 over 2. The gradient is half, which means if the gradient is half, then radius and tangent always meet at 90 degrees. So they are perpendicular to one another. So we can get gradient for the tan. Gradient for this tan shall be negative 2. So that when the two gradients are multiplied, they give us negative 1. We are taking negative 2 because the two gradients must be multiplied to give us a negative 1, since tangent and radius. This is a radius, this is a tangent to the circle. Radius and tangent meet at right angles. Therefore, for this particular tangent, we are having the gradient, and we are also having a point where the gradient, where the tangent passes. So we can use 2, negative 2, 3, 4, and another coordinate xy to express the same gradient. Negative 2 equals to change in y minus 4, over change in x minus 3. Now we can multiply y minus 4 equals to negative 2 by x, and negative 2 by negative 3, becoming positive 6. So y equals to negative 2x plus 10. This is the equation for the tangent. If we have the equation for the tangent, then we can ask ourselves, where is this tangent cutting the x-axis? And that is the x-intercept. X-intercept is the point where the value of y becomes 0. Negative 2x plus 10. Y becomes 0 at the x-intercept. So negative 10 equals to negative 2x, giving us the value of x as 5. And now we can say when x is 5, y is 0. So this 5, 0, that is the coordinate. 5, 0. Yeah, coordinate 5, 0. So that's how we work it out. This is a question which really required a thinker, a student to reason out, student to understand what we are talking about. Very simple, but really involving. Number 14, yeah? Number 14, given that A, that's vector A, equals to 2i minus 3j plus k, and vector B equals to negative I minus 2j, and the vector C equals to 2I negative plus 2j plus 2k. Evaluate 2 vector A minus 3 vector B minus 2C to 2 decimal places. And remember, these strokes now imply the magnitude of the vector. So let's get the vector first, then we find its magnitude. When you're told to find for a certain vector, you're being told to find the magnitude, or rather the length of the vector. 2 multiplied by vector A. Vector A is having 2, negative 3, and 1. Then minus 3, vector B is a negative I, so just negative 1. Negative 2, we are not having K, so that's a 0. Plus, okay, minus again, sorry. Minus 2, vector C, which is negative 2, 2, and 2. Yeah, that way. So what are we getting here? This is 4, negative 6, 2, minus, this is a negative 3, this is a negative 6, and this is a 0, minus, this is a negative 4, a 4, and a 4. Negative 4, 4, 4. I hope we are together in that computation. Just hope that we are together in that multiplication. So 2 multiplies negative 2 to give us 4. To give us negative 4. But now I'm not forgetting the negative in the working. So 4 minus a negative 3, that becomes 4 plus 3. Then minus a negative 4. So it will be 4 plus 3 plus 4. That makes it 11. The next shall be negative 6 minus a negative 6. That becomes negative 6 plus 6, which becomes a 0. Negative 6 plus 6 is a 0. Then minus 4. So minus 4 remains now. Minus 4 that way. Finally, we'll be talking about 2 minus a 0. That's just 2. Then minus 4. We get a negative 2. So we have the vector worked out. So we can now get the magnitude, whereby you need 11 squared minus negative plus minus 4 squared plus again negative 2 also squared. So this is now going to be equal to 11 squared plus 16 plus 4, then the square root. I'm getting 11.87 to 2 decimal places here. 11.87 units, because these are length units that way. We proceed to number 15, question on this is a question on statistics. The production of milk in liters of 10 cows in a certain week were 90, 94, 96, 98, 99, 102, 105, 91, 102, and 99. Using a working mean, this is also called assumed mean, of 96 liters, calculate to 3 significant figures, the actual mean and also the standard deviation. So we can first get what we call variation of all the values from the mean, T, which is every value minus assumed mean. So what are 90 minus 96? We get negative 6. 94 minus 96, we get 2. 96 minus 96, we get a 0. 98 minus get 2. 99, get 3. 102, we get 6. 105 minus 96, we get 9. 91 minus 96, we get negative 5. 102, we get 6 again, because there was another. Then 99, we get 3. These are the deviations of the mean. So how do we get actual mean? Actual mean of x will be given by assumed mean plus the mean of t, the mean of t. So t out of the total frequency. Yeah, the mean of t. We add up t's, we divide by total frequency. So this shall be -6 plus a -2 plus a 0 plus a 2, 3, 6, 9, -5, 6, and 3. Then out of the total number of cows, which is 10, and we'll be adding 26 to this. So this is going to be 16 over 10 plus 96. 16 over 10 plus 96. So this should be 97.6. 97.6. 97.6 liters of milk. That is the mean. With this, we can talk about now the standard deviation. For us to get the standard deviation, which is S, we need first to get variance, which is sum of f t squared out of summation of f minus summation of f t over f, then this part should be squared. And now that we need standard deviation, we take square root of variance that way. So every frequency is 1 in this case. Yeah, every frequency is 1 unless we group 102 and 99. 102, there is a 96. 96 is appearing once. Yeah, so we can talk of 92 and 99. Those ones are appearing twice. But anyway, we can work each independently. So when we square all the t's, 36 squared becomes 36. So these are the t's squared now. Each times 1. Then we shall talk about -2 squared, which is 4. 0 squared, the other one becomes 4. 9, 36, 81, 25, 36 once again, and 9. So we can now add, because each is multiplied by 1, then we'll be talking about 240. So with this now, we can apply the formula up there and have 240 over 10 cows minus 16 over 10. This one will be squared. Then now we obtain the square root. Yeah, this is 24 minus 1.6 squared, 2.56. Then we will take the square root. 24 minus 2.56, get 21.44, and the square root will take us to 4 point. Remember, we've been told to 3 significant figures. So 63. This one is now the standard deviation. Yeah, 4.63. That is the standard deviation. Number 16. The temperature of a cooling water was measured at intervals of 2 minutes and recorded as shown in the table below. Time in minutes, temperature in degrees Celsius. So the initial temperature was 80, and after 2 minutes, it went to 60. After another 2 minutes, 46, 2 minutes again, 35, that way. Draw the graph of temperature against time. That is the part A. Temperature against time. Remember, the axis has already been drawn and labeled for us. Ours is just to plot. So 0, 80. 0, 80. That is the coordinate. Then 2, 60. Then we have 446. So 4 goes with the 46. 46 is somewhere here. Then 6 goes with 35. 35 is somewhere here between 30 and 40. 8, 26. 26 is somewhere here. Then 10 goes with 20. Then 12 goes with 15. Yeah, 15 is that point now. There. So we can now draw the curve. As you can see, it's not a straight line, it's a curve. So we have to join the curve using a very smooth curve. We draw the graph. This is now the smooth curve that the examiner needed to see. That is the smooth curve, very smooth. Then there is a part B now of the same question. Determine the average rate of cooling of water between the 3rd and the 11th. The 3rd and the 11th. Between the 3rd and the 11th, what was the temperature? In the 3rd minute, what is the temperature? In the 3rd minute, let's check. In the 3rd minute, so 3 is here. What is the value of the temperature in the 3rd minute? And I'm seeing exactly 52. So in the 3rd, I'm seeing 52 degrees Celsius. The 3rd and the 11th. But let me check 11. Between 10 and 12, we have 11. So for 11th, I'm seeing exactly 18. So in the 11th, I'm seeing 18 degrees Celsius. What is the rate of cooling there? What's the rate of cooling? So we can use actually 3 and 52 as coordinates. Then we use 11 and 18. So that we take change in temperature with time. So from 52 to 18, it took us from 3 to 11. So this shall be 52 minus 18, giving us 34 out of 3 to 11. This gave us -8. So the rate shall be, this will be -4.25, meaning that the negative is to mean that it was a decrease. So the rate shall be 4.25 degrees Celsius in every minute. It's per minute. Yeah, so that's how we get the rate. Next time, we shall be looking at the section 2 of this paper, which is a very good section, and I hope you guys shall like it. So see you next time for section 2 of the color joint examination. Otherwise, thank you so much for following. Remember to subscribe and share. You can also purchase airtime from our program here, whereby you go to the M-Pesa, Lipa na M-Pesa. Then the pay bill number is already displayed here, 737,356. Account number is your phone number, the phone number that you're purchasing the airtime for. Then you enter the amount that you need to spend as airtime. You complete the transaction, and you're going to receive the airtime instantly. Otherwise, thank you so much.